Talking politics again. This time we'll be focusing on the People's Democratic Party and its next meeting, what the issues are that will come up for discussion today and how they would arrive at solutions, because their focus is to unite the party and take over, like we heard from that report. We do have a very strong member of the party, one of the founding fathers as well, Chief Dan Ulasi, who's also a political analyst, a former PDP chairman in Anambra State, joining us live now. Good morning and welcome.
It's good to have you.
Were you at the meeting? I know you are one of the founding fathers of the PDP. Were you at the meeting, first of all? And
Yesterday?
Yes.
Yes, I was at the meeting from beginning to the end.
Okay. We just saw that
You watched
report.
we've seen where they were showing my pictures.
Yes, and we saw Jerry Ghana saying, hey, get up PDP, take over and do something for Nigeria. Are you all just realizing that you have to do that?
You know, we needed to have a reflective instinct towards self-preservation. That's all this business is all about. You know, when you lose power, it's like a small earthquake. And if you don't have people with very strong will, you know, you're shaking up the party. We lost from almost 30 governors now to 10. And it is quite, energy stepping. And so we're trying to reorganize, internalize, make self-assessment, be able to tell ourselves the home truth. If there are places we went wrong, people are still living, you know. But the question is, if you leave PDP to APC, I regard it as a disgusting episode of political abomination. You have to move from point A to B. B is better than A. These people in this country are crying today in what is happening in APC national government. So if anybody is leaving PDP, you're going for what? Then there must be, if it's a governor, some paper must have been shown him about their misdeeds, and then seems to dump into APC, because their former chairman, Oshimole, said, come to APC and all your sins are forgiven in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And you think we can fight corruption and all the things they are preaching? Have you ever heard even their president, the president of Nigeria, talk about corruption? They don't, because that is their modus operandi. If you do anything bad, come and we'll receive you. They're doing it official in this country. And nobody appears to be interested in what is going on. For the first time, people are hungry in this country, so hungry that you can't begin to imagine it. At the airport when I was coming yesterday, people otherwise who couldn't have begged you for money were asking for assistance. I was also asking them for assistance. That the situation is terrible everywhere. You know, so I don't know how we're going to sort this thing out. At the time where, they're still in control for the next 2 years. They're still in control. But my worry is that PDP has to hurry up,
All right.
reevaluate itself. You know, we have lots of internal problems, and if anybody denies that, he must be living in a fool's paradise.
All right.
Because the person who is president of Nigeria is a strategist.
Absolutely.
In 1998 to 2007, when he was governor of Lagos State, I was part of the factors to stop him in Southwest. There was nothing Obasanjo didn't do. We managed to take some states, but we couldn't do anything in Lagos State, and he remained there for 7 years. And 2023, when we were preparing for this presidential election, I was the director for Atiku's campaign in the Southeast. We had an emergency meeting. I told them that this guy, people have to sleep with both eyes open. That this guy is not somebody you push to the background. I said, I will remove him. Look at where he is president of Nigeria today.
Okay. Let's come back to the PDP,
Yes.
because we've had you on this forum several times, talking about the party, talking about rebuilding the party, talking about the leadership of the party, looking inwards. You know, post 2023, we had conversations about this. You know, and now we are here, just a few years to election again in 2027. And I listened to Damagun say, you know, the PDP is not easily shaken because they are rooted. But isn't it a time to really shake? Because you're losing several important high-level stakeholders from the party. You're looking at the emergence of a coalition, whether they are the same bedfellows with PDP before or not. There is a coalition that has both members of the PDP and some former members of the APC within that coalition. What will be the approach? Because listening to Jerry Ghana, he's saying it is time to build unity. People are living in anger. Bukola Saraki said people should leave because of ideals. Do you think that PDP still represents all of these that have been mentioned by this leader for people to come back to the party?
It will be fallacy of generalization to tell you that we are what we used to be. And that was the basis of the general comment I made, that when you lose an election, we're in control of federal government from Basanjo to Yaradua 2.5 years before he died, from there to Jonathan for almost 6 years, and suddenly we're out of power. And people have not gotten used to being in opposition, because in this dispensation, we just went into government, so we didn't know what opposition meant. We had 26 or 27 state governments. So yesterday we had a very important meeting, apart from the public. Today we have a NEC meeting too, all in assessment of where have we come so far, where are we going to. These are part of the discussions we'll be having today. I don't think it's impossible to reevaluate the party in terms of performance.
Okay.
Because if you were in the hall yesterday, very prominent, respectful, citizens who are still in PDP and many coming in, there are some who have left, and I'm very happy they have left. Because those who have left, if your party gives you a ticket and you become a governor, you spend 8 years, and you jump from your party to another party, it means you have no values, no moral standing. You should not be handed over power. There has to be something that the young people should be looking forward to. That Adora is in Party B, and in all circumstances she remained in Party D, trying to make it better. How do you say that a senator or a governor? Look at the whole state of a Delta state. Everybody. And there's a law saying that if a member of National Assembly or State Assembly leaves his party to another party, he should resign unless there is a national division. And there's no national division in PDP. So where has Okowa and the rest of them
gone? Is
there
no national division in the
There's
PDP?
no national division in PDP. You're in the press.
With all the quarrels about who is the substantive...
that is not a quarrel. But a secretary, a matter of a secretary...
different court cases and all of that. Everything is happening at the national level.
Excuse me. You don't emphasize what is a common principle of politics. Going to court is part of political process. It's a democratic process.
So it's not a national division.
Excuse me.
Okay, we get that.
It's not a division because you can, if you're not someone who is prepared to dialogue, in every conflict, it's as a result of people not able to resolve grievances. That's why people go to court.
So maybe let me highlight this division, perhaps not yet a division. Yeah. The Southeast Caucus has also rejected the membership of the National Vice Chairman of the zone, Aliyu Defa, citing 2 separate court judgments which have not been appealed. So as the leader of the zone, are you not concerned that the majority of members from the Southeast may also leave the party in the nearest future and create a division?
This is a part of what I'm discussing now. For reasons best known to me, I don't need to, there are things I don't do in public. If you look at the picture that formed PDP, I was standing behind Alex Ekweme. Myself and late Dr. Mbadnuju, former governor of Anambra State, and Dr. Zonwa. There are people I'm seeing now who didn't know how we formed that party. So to them, it's just a matter of marketing. You move from, if I leave PDP today and you hear that I'm in APC, it is not the same Dan Ulasi. There must be something else. Once I leave the party today, I'm home. I just go and become a private consultant to whomsoever that might need my consultancy. But what I'm saying is that in a country where there are no values, not just PDP, where there are no values. I was listening to your newspaper, discussion. People move from party A to B and vice versa. You don't know what they represent anymore. So you cannot really bet. This is why there is no governance. That's why we have, people have taken undeserved vow towards criminality, stealing money. Can you imagine that in the past, the former president of this country died in a foreign hospital, and the last military head of state is in the same hospital? And we are proudly making a comment about that we don't have a standard hospital in this country where somebody can easily move with accessibility, you can afford it, and you have good treatment. Go to hospitals in Europe. There's no magic about hospitals. All you need, we have some of the best hospitals. Nigeria produces some of the best doctors in the world. All we need is to have, at least in each of these 6 zones, have a standard hospital, referral hospital that you can go and have equipment to all forms of diagnosis. There are doctors to do the job. But I don't know. That is part of the problem. It's not just PDP problem. What is Bolaji Tinubu, before he became president, was virtually living in Paris. He's been to Paris 7 times since this presidency. So you see, there's something fundamentally wrong with all of us.
Okay, let's get back to the PDP and what's going on. From that meeting of the Founding Fathers as well, I heard Professor Jerry Ghana talking to PDP and saying this time you should nominate your presidential candidate for the 2027 election from the southern part of Nigeria. Many people think that that's probably what, you know, the last straw that broke the camel's back for the PDP in 2023 general election. That some of this crisis you have today may not have happened if you have done that zoning that way.
Well, you know, I had said on this platform, in 2023, you know, we had two committees. One headed by former governor of Enugu State, His Excellency Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi. He headed the committee to name party offices, where the chairman goes, where the secretary goes. And the chairman was zoned to the north and the secretary to the south. That is why, you know, what is his name, Sam Anyanwu is still there as secretary of the party. And then Autumn, the former governor of Benue State, headed the committee to zone elective offices. And they failed, unfortunately. If you're looking for somebody who is the causative agent of the PDP crisis, you should be looking at former Benue governor, Autumn. Because if that committee had also pronounced publicly that the election, the presidential candidate of PDP should come from the south, like Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi's committee said the chairmanship should come from the north, because we would have expected that both chairman of the party and presidential candidate would not come from one part of the country. That was the beginning of our crisis. And that made it impossible for Atiku Abubakar to win, because he based his argument of running that the party did not zone the presidency to anywhere. Therefore, he was free to run. Unfortunately, that argument was admissible, because if something had happened and it was zoned to the south and he came out, constitutionally he may have a right to run, but it would be, you know, anti-party activities.
So are you trying to find out whether, retrace your steps and maybe thinking that what happened in 2023 will repeat again if you don't do that? Because from what Jerry Ghana is saying, he said this will not only ensure victory at the polls, but also ensure or promote justice, fairness, and equity in the party.
Like I just mentioned a few seconds ago, we have an unwritten constitution now of North goes for 8 years, the South goes for 8 years. Let me use the example of Anambra State, where I think you come from. In 2006, at Peter Obi's second term, he invited me for breakfast on a Saturday morning. And we were discussing. And I told him, you know, if we don't move the governorship to the north of Anambra, that they will never have a governor from there, because they don't have people with financial muscle to put in. Most of the financial muscle in Anambra, they come from the south and the central. And Peter turned and started looking at me. I said, we must have to be accommodating to every part. That will give us some peace. And we invited, he called a meeting of politicians, non-politicians, traditional rulers. That's how this zoning you see in Anambra. The south goes, the central goes, the north goes. Somebody did it.
Even though other political parties say it's an Abga thing, it's not, it's none of their business. That Anambrarians did not agree on that.
I suggested that to Peter. In fact, about 2 months ago when he came to my house, he thanked me for that concept, because it has given us a lot of peace. Even though some people don't obey it because it's not a constitutional issue. You can afford to run.
Into that,
but
yes.
Majority of the citizens now know that it's our turn. When it comes to the central, they know it is their turn. So even if you come out, you fail. Your people will not vote for you, because you're trying to create some chaos in a system where we want to make everybody to have a sense of belonging. That is the concept. Maybe another 50 or 100 years, it might not be there. When we have reached a level of, you know, civilization, democracy depends on doses of civility. We don't have that civility presently in this country. It's a grab and take and run. That is why the chaos is all over the place. But once we reach that stage, you said, oh, it is the turn of this person, everybody. Now you can see people bringing out gubernatorial candidates in Anambra now, as it were, going to the south. Because the current governor comes from the south. So he has 4 more years to conclude. So if you see anybody coming from the central or south of Anambra to contest, it's somebody is putting it up to create confusion. It gives us comfort. It gives us order. That, and it happens also in senatorial zones, within the various zones too. Communities have a way of also bringing somebody. If you are people like the senatorial candidate of the South, now that the governor is from the Agwata area, if he was sure he will win, nobody is sure who will win, But candidates are also coming from the south of south.
All right, let me come in here now because, I mean, as you're speaking, we see a lot of comebacks from our online, presence. So somebody says, Chief Dan, are you happy that Atiku left the PDP, your associate and friend? What are your thoughts on that? And again, to the coalition, that whether we like it or not, these are members of the PDP, and some of them were strongmen of the PDP. Is there a likelihood that there may be a handshake across the table? Because some of them say, we are still in PDP, but still members of the coalition. How is that narrative going to play out?
I started by saying the values people have, the moral standards. They tell you there's no morality in politics, but I say no. There are things, conspiracies that might go on, and I say no, against the door, I will not be involved. I might lose out for one reason or the other, but there has to be a level of standards you bring to bear. For young people, we are trying to ask them to take over from us. We are not teaching them rascality, executive and legislative rascality. That's what is going on in this country. And we justify it for one reason or the other. Unfortunately, we justify it. Like you just said about Atiku Abubakar, I was the director of campaign for the Southeast, 2023. He didn't tell me he was leaving. He has the right to do what he wants to do. People in a situation where you don't vote for an individual, you vote for political parties, they would have known the importance of party. That is why parties are so important. That if you leave, if you're a sincere and honest politician, you must make sure that your party has a good standing. Because if that party is not strong, you don't have a platform to run. So I don't know what informed Atiku Abubakar to leave. Some people have a tendency just to run for public office. Supposing you don't have a good platform to run for that public office, I don't know whether he's going to run under ADC or whichever party he could. But it is his constitutional right so to do. That's the most I can say to that extent. He didn't tell me. I have not spoken with him for quite some months now, so I don't know.
Okay, so for the governors who have defected and members who have defected, isn't it proper to also look at the legal implications of that? Do they still retain that position while going to other parties? What is the judicial process? Can PDP test that?
But
you
remember that was the first comment I made when I started talking about people. The Constitution says the only people who can leave their party and go to another party without suffering the inconvenience of having to lose their seat: president, vice president, governors, deputy governors, members of the National Assembly and State Assembly. If you leave your party to another party and there is no national division, which INEC can confirm, because only INEC can confirm now whether there is a national division or a court of competent jurisdiction.
Chief, somebody says I should ask you something here. Tony Ajiri is his name. Please ask Chief Ulasi, why has PDP not taken those governors, legislators who won elections with the PDP tickets and now decamped to the APC to court?
I think that's what
why
I
not
just
say, okay, that's what you just responded to. But Sunday Bangboshe says, what is your position really? Chief Dan was once one of the people that was on every TV demarketing P2B in 2023. Is that correct? Please respond to this, because that's what somebody thinks.
It's not true. I mean, I do my programs on this. When there was a time he was vice presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar in PDP, I couldn't have marketed him as an individual presidential candidate outside the PDP. I never did. If I did, people should have, I do most of my programs on this platform, so I don't think it's true. I marketed him when he was vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar, who was a PDP presidential candidate.
Indeed.
You know.
All right, so some of people are also responding. Wasiu Akinloye, I'm sure a lot of this question particularly would be what a lot of people are echoing and asking, why can't Wike leave the PDP if he has sworn to work for the APC in 2027?
Well, you know, because of my relationship with all the sides involved, especially Wike, in 2023, after an emergency meeting in Abuja here, you know, of the 6 geopolitical zones that make up the campaign for Atiku, I had to go. I was requested to go to Port Harcourt, and I went to Port Harcourt to see Wike, to ask him to support the PDP. You know, and we spent. That was the day I met this boy, the sharp who is his governor now, and without sounding, you know, with due humility, when he came in, I was talking with Wike when he came in, and Wike asked him, "Do you know who is sitting there?" He said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Who is he?" He said, "Chief Dan Ulasi." "Have you met him personally?" He said, "No, that he sees him on television." So he said, okay, this is, in the next 2 months, this young man is going to be the governor-elect of this state. I said, if God wills. Both of them never forgot it. I said, he might go to bed this night, and you won't wake up in the morning. He said, yes, so don't start playing God.
Yeah.
But I told him, when this trouble started, a lot of people called me. I told him, do you see this seat Wike is sitting? He said, yes, sir. I said, every month you'll be disbursing about 15 to 20 billion naira. Money alone is a problem. Power alone is a problem. When you combine power with money, and you don't have a means of controlling your emotions, you run into trouble. Did it last 6 months before the trouble started? I didn't know who was wrong. I have not met him since he became governor, but I've seen Wike once or twice, So, and both of them have made press conferences, and they did not talk that money was a problem. Because if Wike had asked him to be paying him some amount of money, he would have said that in defense of his position. But Wike said, I never asked him. I didn't need, I'm FCT minister. If there was anything I needed, I'm in federal government, I should have it. But the question was that there are people they put into power that they started removing. And somebody asked me, why won't the governor remove those people? I said, who put him? The way he was put in, that was how other people were organized in various local governments to fight for him to become governor. So if he had a sense of empathy, he would have at least allowed those people to be in government for about 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years. Because somebody nominated you. Wike would have taken anybody else and made him governor in Rivers State. If somebody nominated you to be governor, you did not campaign alone. In various local government, people were fighting for you, and they were made promises. That's what we do in politics. You make promises to people. Go and fight for Nkoli. She's running for Senate. When she wins, you will be given this. It happens all over the world. It's not only in Nigeria. So if suddenly you come in and you see new advisors who will be telling you, oh, the governor put your secretary, he put your this. Who put you? Were you in every local government to campaign for yourself, to vote for yourself? People committed themselves to make you governor. So they also have authority or rights to become senators or commissioners or what. These are the arrangements. But somebody will come out and tell you, don't mind, Wike was, but it's not true.
All right. Let's leave that now and come back to the PDP deck meeting, because there's a lot of issues are actually coming out now. Even the Wike you talked about has told everyone who cares to listen at every event he goes, commissioning of projects and all of that, that he is standing for President Bola Tinubu for 2027. He's not the only one doing this. Almost all, in fact, many states in Nigeria also talk about this 2027, okay, you can vote PDP in the states, but at the national level, go for, I think yesterday was even on Osun State, that was also saying that PDP members saying 2027 for President Bola Tinubu, but the governor should still not leave the PDP and all of that. So these are some of the conversations. What does this, or what's the implication of this for the PDP as it's trying to get back, on track?
Each time I start the power, the authority of power depends on regimented formality. Authority. If it is formal, that's why people obey you. That your MD, your CEO, your Major General is regimented formality. So people come up and see that this is a process, and they have to instinctively or even unknowingly, obey that. But it will be difficult, in answering the question you just asked, to look beyond the values people place. Values. If you have no value, you're just a tout.
All right, sir. I think this is where we take a curtain call. I want to say thank you so much. We wish PDP all the best. The NEC perhaps will bring new optics to the new emergence of the unity that was talked about in that report. Chief Dan Ulasi is